Okay, so once again, good day everyone. So our topic for today is about enterprise architecture, no, project deliverables, no. On the surface, deliverables may seem like just another way to say the project result. So until you look deeper, and once you do, you will find that deliverables go well beyond and the actual results of a given project to all serve as the means by which projects are planned, managed, and executed. No? If you want to be successful, you must be prepared to produce each and every deliverable type, the project, the process, and more. So it takes two types of deliverables, no, to make any project happen: the project deliverables and the process deliverables. So while each of these varied deliverables serves as a specific purpose within the process management process, no, they also work hand in hand, and you can overlook one of the other. Okay, so again, projects are initiated to produce a specific, unique outcomes based on specific, unique needs. No? So that purpose and need must be expressed in one tangible form, whether it's product, a process, a plan, a policy, or some other outcome. So in each that some deliverable. Let's say, for example, in a software development project, the software code is the deliverable. In the project to develop and implement a BYOD policy, the bring your own device policy, the documented policy is the deliverable. So the list of the example is endless, but the story is the same. So project deliverables are project outcomes, but it doesn't end there. Okay? So to give us more details about the topic, let us all welcome our presenter. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, what I'm going to present to you is actually one of the deliverables, just like what said, what just Sir Marmelo said earlier regarding the deliverables. And one of the deliverables of this what I'm going to show you is actually the scheduling. Okay, now in terms of scheduling, okay, wala yung in terms of scheduling, okay, yeah. So here, okay, as an introduction, the role of the enterprise architect is to help organization to understand the full potential of technology and applications. This is even more important today as companies are rushing to implement technology across their business structure that will satisfy, of course, the increasing of customer demands, the operation efficiency, and this what we call the, profitability for the company. Now, um, okay, the enterprise architect's objective is to implement a good strategy that will accomplish business capabilities and desired outcomes. Now, so okay, amidst of the digital transformation initiatives in organizations stays with, it is becoming more challenging for the enterprise architect to create a product and services that is easy to implement and engaging to the customers. This gives the enterprise architect a once in a lifetime opportunity to work closely with the project management office. Okay. Yan. So the PMO, just like said earlier, actually the software architect is yeah, working hand in hand with this what we call the project manager, the project manager. Now, okay, so the PMO is also compelled to the deliver project that are associated with overall strategy. basically, the enterprise architects and the PMO are trying to answer the same question. How can we leverage our resources to achieve such organizational objectives? Now, for the PMO, these resources are only two components, the people and also the money, which is actually the one of the main factors in terms of this what we call the resources. Because in the project management, going back to the project management, going back to our project management subject is the other one is yung uh, the human resources. Okay, now in an executive summary level, okay, sorry. Next. Okay, so in an executive summary level, there are actually five deliverables of enterprise architecture. Okay, an enterprise architecture roadmap is actually a strategic blueprint that communicates how many IT plans will help the organization achieve its business objectives. Okay, so if you would just consider this, as an explanation, it actually explains if you just going back to our elementary days, it actually explains the law of this what we call Newton's third law of motion, which means in every action there will always be an equal reaction. So what do I mean? Okay, just like for example, that you do have a business and you do have a business, and the factors that will go, and all of those risks that will be accumulating, facing this business, will be actually the risk that might take this business down. Now, as a support, it depends on the how concrete your business plan will be. So just like for example, this wall, if you can see my if I'm lying in this wall, if this wall is actually too weak for me, and I am the forces that I am driving, pushing this wall, okay? If it is not actually well reinforced, the wall will going to break down or to fall down. Okay, now, but because of this reinforcement, if I were actually the risk, if I were the risk, and I'm going to push this, I cannot push it. So what does the wall just try to intend me is that what the forces that I'm going to push, no, to exert, no, will going to get back at me. Okay, so one of the reinforcements that the business is actually doing is the IT infrastructure. So because of this IT infrastructure, it helps the business to decide whatever the proficient plans that will going to support based on the business needs that they will be needing. Okay, now, so because of this support, no, it strengthens all the areas that all the areas that is needed to be supported, as a which is actually the IT is considered as the basic foundation of the business, one of the basic foundation of this particular business. That is how the business and the IT is actually trying to work hand in hand. Now, okay, so ano ba to? Teka, kaya ba to? Alright, now, bago pala. Okay, so the number two is actually the application portfolio management. Okay. In terms of the application portfolio management, it actually refers to the process of planning and evaluating application, creating a framework for measuring and optimizing the use of application over the entire course of the cycle, the life cycle. This includes the management of as-is information, or such is what we call, when we say as-is, we are actually referring to this application, infrastructure, information, business, financial, and organization. Now, it also includes the assessment, okay, the assessment of risk, and what could be the solutions that we are going to put on in this particular risk. Because in the business, in the line of business, in putting such solution, which that is actually involves yung tinatawag nating mga resources, no? The resources such as the manpower, the money. So, ibig sabihin, in such particular risk, no, we don't want it to be overkill. Okay, so ibig sabihin nun, hindi masyadong mahina, hindi rin masyadong malakas, no, kung sakaling kasi if in case, no, that we will going to exert that kind of strength or solution in that particular, weak risks, no. So ibig sabihin nun, there might be a possibility that we're going to exert manpower, resources, money, and everything, and time, of course, in order for us to us to address this kind of assessment risk, no. So assessment is very, very important if it is actually a high threats to our business or not, no. So then it also includes the recommendation to eliminate overlaps. So eliminating overlaps, actually, when we say overlaps, now we are actually referring to this what we call yung the workload, okay, and the scheduling. So in terms of the workload, no, the employee would, the employee would get this what we call confusion if there will be a manifestation of these overlaps, okay, confusion, and of course yung redundancy of work which requires, no, yung longer time in order for you to process, kasi na-process na siya, paprocess siya ulit, no. So there will be a redundancy of work which, no, yung which consumes much time for it to process, no. And next is the scenario planning, which is the way to assert the control over the uncertain world of identifying. Okay, the number three is the scenario planning, which is the way to assert control over the uncertain world by identifying the assumptions about the future and determining how your organization and application will respond. Okay. One of the good example of this is the use of what if analysis. So meaning to say, even if it is the software is not yet there, so you actually plan it, no, better way ahead before the problem occurs. Okay, and number four is actually okay, now the standards and policies. It is very important for us to set a proper standards, and we all know that it is not an easy task. It is not an easy task to do. Okay, because it takes time for us to finish those standards, because we have a lots of incubation for such rules to be implemented in order for us to to write it, okay, as a form of the standards and policies of our of our of the process. Okay, and the last is the IT risk management. Okay, in terms of the IT risk management, um, it is actually aligned in the enterprise risk management plan. Okay, now, sorry. And so, okay, when it comes to this what we call standardization, we are actually involving it dun sa tinatawag nating technology, process, okay, products, and patterns. Okay, now yan yan. Now, so, the directives. Now, in terms of the directives itself, um, uh, when we are actually setting a schedule, na, we are setting a schedule for this particular, particular project. Um, it is actually inclined or paralleled to the mission and vision of the organization, just like the previous reporter have just discussed to us. No? So in terms with this, no, you have this what we call the milestone, a series of milestones. So as you can see in the diagram, we have the milestone for now, and then we have the milestone for the next, and then we have the milestone for the later, and so on and so forth. So it could be a 5-year milestone, it could be a 10-year milestone, whatever. It depends on the the objective and the strategic goals of the company that you are with, no? And what particular projects do these softwares or applications will be catering on, okay? And when I speaking of the software, it is now we are not actually speaking about one software, two softwares. It could be a multiple software in order for us to complete all of these particular milestone of ours. Okay. Now, all right. So in this particular directives, no, as you can see, the project management, no, as I said, project managers and the architects now work hand on hand. Now, the architects sometimes associated with the project management. Now, in terms of looking back of all those KPIs and key performance indicators, which enhances the softwares and to be considered to be included in such particular softwares. No, now, uh, okay, so the enterprise architect must communicate the following directives to the project management office. So, ayan. So, uh, ayan. So, here, ayan. So, okay. So, the number two is actually the enterprise needs to complete it. Okay. So, there are actually some standards that needs to be discussed. No? So, ayan. So, the enterprise actually architect needs to complete all the necessary groundwork right at the beginning, okay, of the project to help the PMO assess the project against the business strategy. So project originated as an enterprise architect level must transcend to the PMO level for the better execution and must be aligned to the organization overall strategy and objectives. The diagram open EA, no, method of, I'm sorry, yan, yan, actually, So this is actually a diagram, no, which uh, I just got in the internet, no, which clearly citing all of the plans, no, per level and per enterprise strategy that they are going to do. Okay. Now the diagram, okay, is an open enterprise architecture method, okay, for this particular software that provides the user with the ability to document and the maturity and the rollout of the scale of this of a concept or principle and other entity classes like ability, capability, and rules. Now, if I would just explain this, no, as you can see the M, no, there is actually the maturity on it, no. So meaning to say, the maturity of it will be the number of it could be a years, could be a weeks, no. So, in this particular concept, ibig sabihin, now that before we move on to another set of software, the maturity should be attained first in order for us to see no, if there is actually a guidelines on the policy, okay, and the application which is linked therein into one business to another business application. So, and it involves time. So, since that I am discussing the scheduling here, so it really involves time, okay, in order for us to see, okay, what would be the perfect solution that would be fitted in this particular, on the particular problem. Okay, now, ayun. So, the diagram aligns with the common levels of maturity. So these are actually uh, we do have this what we call initial, okay? Sorry. Okay. So ayan. So okay, so in the diagram that I just presented, no, it actually sorry. Ibalik ko nga ulit. Ayan. So here, the diagram that I'm showing you right now is actually there is a level of maturity. Number one is to the initial. Okay, we do have the initial, which is we are referring to this what we call chaotic. It could be an ad hoc. It could be an individual heroic. It is actually the starting point for use of a new and undocumented repeated concept. So, medyo mahirap yan because we are actually in the abstract, no? In the abstract of finding ways in order for us to the succeed the problems would be addressed. Okay, so once it is actually established, now it would be a repeatable on the level to which is the repeatable. Okay, so the repeatable, when we say repeatable, it would be the concept is at least documented sufficiently, such as repeating the same steps may be attempted. Now, and the last therein is actually the defined. When we say the defined, the concept is defined or confirmed as a standard of business concept. Okay, so meaning to say there nai-establish na natin, no? Unti-unti yung concept, and then after that when it is actually established, it would be now going towards the maturity of the number level 4, which is the manage. Okay, now the concept is the quantitatively managed and accordance with the agreed upon metrics. Okay? And the last is yung tinatawag nating optimizing. When we are actually referring to the optimizing, okay, the concept management includes the deliberate concept of optimization and improvement already. Now, to indicate the maturity for the entity, okay, entity class, like the concept, uh, in the diagram, they use actually M, where you will fill in the levels of the dots in the figure. Okay, so EA concepts overview above you is actually the example of this here, the diagram that I'm showing you right now. Also, the diagram defines the rollout scale. Okay, so as you can see, the rollout scale is a rollout scale says how much percentage of an area is compliant to the certain maturity level. So it means that, for instance, the concept of the service orientation is a maturity level 3, but only 50% of the applications are are passing to these particular standards. Okay, so meaning to say, no, it is not fully functional yet, but it is actually rolling out in the event of the rolling out already. The rollout scale is documented with the S, and followed by the percentage for whatever quantity will be, no, where you will fill in the percentage on the dots. Normally, you would indicate the maturity level and rollout scale. Also, if it is actually known and unknown. Okay, it depends on the observation of the software architects. Okay. Now, as a visualization rule, okay, the software that is planned level of maturity and rollout scale is not equal to the current level. The shape, uh, sometimes the shape and the color varies, no? Likewise, the orange and the green is planned and equal. So, ibig sabihin that the color really varies because, kung green daw ito, it is actually, or orange, no, that it is actually equal to current. These are actually just like this one, the modern enterprise. This is the current software that they are using right now and still on the maturity level. Okay, and the red, indicates some status, no, and so on and so forth. Now, okay, so by selecting the documentation, ito po yung sample, no? The recent, reporter, no? I just posted the the slides that just captured to me. No, basically, no, okay, I just used this slide, no, in order for me to demonstrate that he is emphasizing that there are actually different diagrams to see, to use, no, in order for us to express, no, to our customer or to the stakeholders, no, what would be the outcomes of, no, the near outcomes or the possible outcomes of the software that you are using to. Okay, so as a software architect, no, it is very very important for us to know what would be the tools that we will going to use them. Okay, now in terms of scheduling, there are different tools such as work diagram, okay, such as Gantt chart, no, such as the what we call the you know what else? Yung tinatawag na Javelin technique, no? So, we do have these particular tools in terms of scheduling. So, mamaya, i-demonstrate ko sa inyo paano ba ginagawa yung tinatawag nating PERT diagram. No? Okay, now, as you can see, no, here in this particular concept, no, this is actually a sample of architecture that it is we are trying to explain. No, so in terms of this, what we call file servers, what would be the applications that we will be needing here now? And as you can see, we do have the roadmap. No, we do have the roadmap, and we have to know if it is actually a mission critical. No, so business operational critical. So what would be the kind of criticality of the software that we will be extending? So, as I said, no, working hand on hand on the project management basis, no, it clearly defines the architect and the project manager clearly defines, no, what would be the schedule and what would be the possible outcomes of this particular software in a preferred time and in a preferred timeline. Now, okay, so why enterprise scheduling? Okay, why enterprise scheduling? Okay, actually, we do have this what we call the um, why enterprise scheduling. It is because hindi we are not actually inclined in this what the particular yung um object oriented scheduling, no? So, ibang-iba siya doon sa object-oriented, no? Kasi when we say object-oriented, we should have, yung kabaliktaran nito lahat, no? So, we should have an unlimited resources, we should have an unfiltered access to data, we should have an unlimited access to data and, sorry, unlimited. Unfiltered and unlimited access to data. We should have, a consistent transformation of operation, di ba? Okay, there should always no a value of work is doesn't matter anymore, no? Kung yun yung ginagamit natin, no, limited we do have unlimited time and all of the data processors no are not actually integrated. So and there will be unprocessed of it's not growing in length. No, it is actually since that this is a consistent, no, they are not growing in length. Kung ang ginagamit natin is what we call yung tinatawag na object-oriented scheduling. But in an idea, that is actually ideal, di ba? That is actually ideal. But in a real, in a real world, no, hindi siya practical kasi most of the business do have the limited resources, okay? We do have filtered access to data, di ba? Everything is controlled in the business. And in every level, no, in every level of authority, there will always be a limited access to data because of this what we call privacy and yung confidentiality, di ba? Now, there is actually an operations is continuously transforming precisely because the demands of the customers no and your stakeholder changes, okay, sometimes because it is the factor of the technology, no, that's the reason why no the driving factors and the customer wants and the customer needs no is the demands is transforming, right, also there is always a high priority value of work. Okay, and since that this is a business of technology, so we don't have any we don't have any luxury of time. So the time here is very very limited, and all of the data processors. So as you can see, no, in the previous, no, we do have data servers, and all of these processes are integrated already to each other. Okay, so all the data and processors are integrated. Now, the reason it's because the security aspect. No, so going back to our ASCII, no, before, no, the architecture, no, nakikita natin yung usap ng one infrastructure to another infrastructure. Now, it also process the growing inland. Okay, so right. So in terms of enterprise scheduling, this is actually the most common kung gumagawa tayo ng isang software or kaya ng enterprise scheduling, these are the most common, the most common modules, diba? Most common modules that we are actually integrating therein, and the commonly suggested, no, modules that should be seen on this particular system. Okay, so we do have the batch execution. Okay, um, okay, so we do have the environment, the run commands, no, so the error recovery, no. In terms of the batch execution, or with respect to the scheduler, no, how do you process your batch, no? Is it weekly? Is it every day? Is it every hour? No? Of course, the batch, no, depending on the volume that you are executing, no, take time, di ba? So, sa bank, kung ikaw ay nandoon sa bank, lalo kapag nag-update ka ng database in batch, no? So, it takes time, which resulted to the offline of EPM, di ba? So, yun yung sometimes most of the reason kung bakit nagkakaroon ng delay of events. And of course, no, in every delay, there will always be, a consequences of that, such as the loss of customers, di ba? And, the business opportunity that you're going to have. So, it is very important for us, no, to consider the time in terms of this what we call processing. Now, the event monitoring, no, okay, so what and where to watch, no, the events, and it should be recorded, and what would be the process that involves in each event, no? Now, in terms of user interface, there should be a defined work of environment and prioritization. Okay? Now, in queuing, okay, there will be a priority order. So sometimes in the system, yung makikita nyo nakatag, no, or something. No, and in terms of the record storage, we do have the job events and the auditing. Now, this is actually the model, no? Hindi siya related doon sa ano natin, pero what I'm trying to say is medyo malaki yung commonly, no? Medyo commonly in such event of scheduling, we should have to consider the scope. Ayun, nakuha ko na. No? So we do have the scope, we do have the cost, and the resource. Yung tinatawag nating scope, tapos yung resources natin, ano. Now, in this concept, no, medyo malaki yung system talaga, and it will always take time. So, kaya it is very important for us to see, no, kung viable ba yung time na i-consume natin for that. Na, so, please pardon me if I'm going to change my PowerPoint presentation, okay, so that I can give way to on how does, no, in a common practice, um how do we deal with the schedules, no? So please, yeah, spare me some time to prepare for this. Sorry. um um okay, so open ko lang po yung ano ha. Ayan. So here, share ko lang tong PowerPoint presentation po sa inyo. Okay, so basically, no, this is actually the basic concept of the PERT CPM of in terms of scheduling. So, nakikita niyo na po ba?
Yes, sir.
Okay po.
Yes.
So, in terms of this, no, so how does the PERT CPM works, no? Okay, this is actually based on the PM book, no? PM book methodology of how do we this work. Okay, so as I said, no, the project manager and the enterprise architect, no, are working hand in hand. So in the project management level, so they uses the what we call the PERT, no? Pero sometimes yung architect gumagamit din siya ng PERT, pero ang mostly that is good for the monitoring only. Now, on the project aspect, no, monitoring naman ng project. Now, dun sa architect, parang bahay, di ba? Para kang gumagawa ng bahay. Just like, for example, whatever, the designer of this particular software is a software architect, no? Gusto niya ng may garden dun sa taas, gusto niya ng may terrace, no? Pero definitely, hindi siya yung kailangan gumawa ng terrace. So, he will be hiring, a project manager for the terrace, no, and he will be hiring a project manager for the garden, no. So but he will be no setting some time in order for them to finish that, but those time will be inclined to the project manager's time, no, para parallel doon sa isa pang project doon sa ginagawa nila, no. So um this is how the PERT CPM works, no. As let's assume that you are actually a project manager, no, of a team composed of 10 people. So you are instructed to build a system, okay? You chunk down all the modules and you distributed all the modules among your men. Now, in this sense, no, this is actually the financial management system, no, na ginamit. So, along with this, these are the modules that will be involved, such as the report generation, database infrastructure, interactive communication, main page, no, analytics, forecasting, accounting, inventory, budgeting, disbursement, and the documentation and testing. So, now let's assign, let's say for example, I have 10 men such as Joseph, John, Elvin, Rachel, May, Joanne, Alfred, Mervin, Donna, and Butch. No, which no, they have the expertise to do this particular module. Okay, so on our earlier earlier reported, no, um, uh, they discuss yung tinatawag natin how are we going to delegate, no? Based dun sa tinatawag nating work breakdown structure, no? Yung to delegate those tasks. Now, always remember that sometimes Joseph is actually also a manager, no? And handling some things, no? And, they do have the lots of organization, of course, no? So, level pa lang po ito nung tinatawag nating internal, okay? So, as I said, this is actually a basic, no, para lang mas maintindihan natin, no, what could be the probable practice na po pwede natin gamitin. Hindi pa natin kasama yung external. Let's just say, for example, we are going to outsource, no, we are going to outsource this kind of software to this, no, bundling this, what we, in our in-house software, iba pa yon, no. So, the work distribution table, no, in this particular activity, no, i-abbreviate natin yan doon sa letter. So, just like for example, in Joseph's team, no, we name it or label it as activity 1. John will be activity 2, activity B. Alvin is activity C, and so on and so forth. No? Now, okay, so in this sense, okay, there will be work distribution table. Okay, so meron series, no? Ibig sabihin, dito pa lang, no, using, talking to the software architect, there will be a series ng paggawa. Just like for example, gumagawa ka ng bahay, di ba? Hindi naman siguro gumagawa ka ng bahay, nauuna yung bubong, di ba? It's always the foundation, and then after the post, and then after that the walls, saka pa lang yung bubong, di ba? So, yun. There will be a sequence of tasks here to do. Okay? Now, this predecessor, no, states, no, yung kung ano-ano yung mga pagkakasunod-sunod. Just like, for example, no, mamaya ipapakita natin. No? So, let's say, for example, this one, no, okay, so ito ay given na, no, from yung discussion ng software architect, no. And then after that, no, just like for example, how are we going to demonstrate this? Okay, so let's have the start. Okay, the start. Okay, so the start is B because it doesn't, the B doesn't have a predecessor at all. Okay, and then after that, no, after the B, sino yung susunod niya? That will be B. Okay, ang predecessor niya is B. Okay, and on the other hand, no, just like this one, predecessor din niya si H, no, kaya ang nangyari doon, dalawa. So, ibig sabihin, no, in this case, no, doon sa unang schedule, no, it could be pagkatapos ni B, no, simultaneous na magpa-process ng work si B at saka si H. Okay, now. And then after that, no, yan yung naging diagram ng ating scheduling. Okay? So, this is actually the time start and then time to finish, no? Now, in this concept ngayon, ayan. So, we have to determine the expected time when to finish the project. So, in order for us to finish that one, we do have to consider yung tinatawag nating optimistic time, the most probable time, and the pessimistic time. So, when we say optimistic time, this is actually the most, the ideal time. Just like, for example, no, if we're going to, yan, yan, let's define. The optimistic time is the maximum time earliest to finish. So earliest to finish of all the activities immediately preceding after the I. So, meaning to say, sige, i-ano ko na, okay, so just like for example, si A, no? When we say optimistic time, sino ba yung in charge dun sa A? Si Joseph. Yeah, si Joseph yung yeah. Okay, I asked Joseph, no? I asked Joseph, which is the manager of such particular thing. Just let's say, for example, in your module, no, what would be the optimistic time? So it depends. Let's say, for example, if I'm going to give you all of the resources that you will be needing, all of the, what we call here, all of the time. So just like, for example, wala naman bagyo, hindi naman bumagyo, hindi naman umulan. And when you requested it, 30 minutes lang, nasa sa'yo na, kailangan mo ng tao, ibinigay ko sa'yo, no? Ibibigay ko lahat sa'yo, right on the way, right on the spot, right this very moment, kung ano kailangan, sasabihin ko sa'yo, sabihin mo lang sa akin, bibigay ko sa'yo. So, if that kind of, kung yung ganun siya ka-optimistic, ibig sabihin, kag ganun kaganda yung request, sabihin, I can do it on 4 weeks. But since then, let's say for example, ano naman yung tinatawag nating pessimistic? Just like for example, if there's some some run out, 'di ba, na nangyari, just like for example, bumagyo, 'di ba? Kunyari nag-request ka ng computer, 'di ba? I just requested the computer pero siguro 2 days, 3 days bago dumating, no? Or kaya 1 week, no? The worst. Ganun siya katagal i-request, no? Nag-request ako ng tao, no? 2 days bago dumating, kulang pa, no? I requested 10 people and yet you just give me 3. Then the rest will be, no? Will be to follow. Kung ganun kabagal, no? Alright, so ibig sabihin, ito yung positive. All of those, sa optimistic, lahat yung positive. In the pessimistic, lahat na nangyari, lahat ng event naging negative. Okay, now, in the probable, pag sinabi natin probable, merong positive, meron ding negative. No? So, ito yung malapit sa katotohanan. So, meaning to say, nung tinanong natin si Joseph, the optimistic for this is 4 weeks. No? And his pessimistic time is 7 weeks. And the most probable time for him is 5 weeks. No? So, yun. And yun, no. So until such time na tinanong na natin lahat ng activities for this. And Okay, so we will be now going to get the expected time. So the formula for this is to compute the mean or the completion time, which is the A plus 4M plus B, okay, divided by 6. Now, in order, why divided by 6? Because in order for us to get the average time, okay? Now, in a three-time estimate approach, the critical path, no, is determined as if the mean times is and activities were fixed times. The time to be complete an activity is assumed to follow in a Beto distribution. So mamaya ipapaliwanag ko yan. Ano? Alright, so where A, dito, dun sa formula na nakita natin dito, no, let's have a legend for this. A is the pessimistic time, B is the optimistic time, and M is the most probable time. Okay, so let's apply, okay, the formula, no. Okay, let's have the activity A, which is Joseph. So execute the formula. We're going to have the 4 weeks, tapos times 4 times 5 weeks, plus the 7 weeks, no? Kung i-compute natin yan, divided by 6, you're going to have a 15.16, no? So, ideally, ang ginagawa nila dyan is, nira-round off, di ba? Pero hindi natin nira-round off yan because, time is of the very essence here, no? As I said, we don't have a limited time, unlimited time. So, since that we do have an unlimited time, okay, we do have a limited time only, no? So, meaning to say, a 1 week difference, just like for example, if it is actually 5, okay lang yan, 5.16, ira-round off natin, that will be 5. Pero what if kung naging 5.77, no? So, it will be automatically as of 6 weeks. We are talking about 6 weeks, and 6 weeks is equivalent to 7 days. So, meaning to say, no, yung 7 days na yun, there might be a possibility, kung i-assume lang natin siya ng 7 days, there might be a possibility that within that 7 days, sumusweldo yung tao mo and yet wala siyang ginagawa. Diba? Now, in this concept, no, we use the method of truncation, okay, which is the best and in the industry practice, no. Now, okay, so in this case, no, by computing all of this, no, ito na nagkaroon na tayo ng distributed dito sa ating expected time. And we do have this what we call the yung probable weeks na, no. Now, we will be processing this expected time already. Now, by processing this, actually, kung makakita nyo dun sa TM book, no, makikita nyo dun sa TM book, it is actually puro circle yung kanyang diagram. But in the industry practice, no, ginawa na lang namin dyan is nilabel na lang namin doon sa nilabel namin as a key. No, ganyan po yung itsura ng key. Where ES is the earliest time to start. Okay, EF is the earliest time to finish. D is the duration. LS is the latest time to start. LF is the late time to finish. And S is the slack time. Now, yung label, ito yung kanina, yung A, B, C, D. Yun yung activity. No? Okay, now, in this concept na yon, no, by using this one, going back to the diagram that we have just discussed kanina based on the predecessors, no, we will going to replace it by key, no? So, pakitandaan lang yung itsura nung pagkakasunod ng mga letters, and we will going to put now yung tinatawag nating key. Nag-replace lang tayo. Now, by doing this, no, ayun, i-apply po natin the numbers that we just collated, no? So, applying the forward pass, no? So, yung forward pass, pag sabi natin forward pass, no? Ibig sabihin, no, looking at the arrow, no, na naka-point dito, we will be passing all of the data from left to right. Left to right. Okay? So, meaning to say, okay, ito, just like for example, ayun, yun. Kung titingnan ninyo, pakitandaan lang po ito, no, yung expected time dito, yung expected time, ilalagay lang natin or isa-substitute lang natin yan dun sa duration. We will be considering the expected time as the duration itself. So, yun yung duration. So, ibig sabihin, naka-place siya doon sa gitna, the upper middle. Okay? So, we will be doing that. No? So, applying the forward pass, no? Ini-apply natin yung 4. Si B ay sa 4. D is 7. H is 7. F is 8. G is 8. I is 4. E is 4. A is 5. K is 7. And J is 3. No? Now, um, by applying the now in this case no dun kay E no if you would just see no it was cut down dun yung process. So if this is the case na nangyari doon sa inyong process no you will be continuing this no ipapasok niyo na lang siya directly to the finish. Okay? No ayun. Now so since that this is just the beginning so say start ibig sabihin we will be starting to the zero no to the 0 days, no, 0 weeks, no. So that will be, and we will going to add the 0 plus 4, the duration and the earliest time, okay, to start. 0 plus 4 is equals to 4, okay. So passing it to the forward from left to right, yung 4 na nakita natin, no, i-sinubmit natin doon sa second portion. Meaning to say, after doing the process of B, no, sa pang fourth weeks pa magsisimula si H at saka si B. So, di ba? Kailangan intayin muna matapos si B bago pumunta kay B at saka yung H yung process. Okay? Now, so ganun din po, no? I-apply din natin yan, 4 plus 7, that will become 11, no? And that is the earliest time to finish, okay? And by doing that, no, ayun na. So, yan yung naging ano natin, yan yung naging itsura ng ano natin. No? So, you can see nag-conflict siya dito, nag-conflict 19 and 15. Hindi natin alam kung anong ilalagay natin, no? So, in this case, no, since that the succeeding activity cannot start without completing its components, it is always the activity that has the latest time to finish will be the basis of the start time of the succeeding activity. Now, in this concept, para kang nagluluto ng adobo, di ba? So, just like for example, no, yung isa bumili ng suka dito sa may Alabang, and yung isa bumili ng suka doon sa may Makati, ng toyo sa may Makati, di ba? Now, hindi ka makakaluto ng adobo kung wala yung suka at saka yung toyo. So, meaning to say, yung suka dumating ng earlier, pero yung adobo dumating ng late, we don't have any choice at all to wait this toyo in order for us to cook the adobo. Okay? So ganun lang siya kasimpleng ganun siya kasimple yung explanation po. Now, and then applying the method again, no? So as you can see, dalawa yung conflict. Ang kukunin natin lagi diyan is yung pinakamataas yung value. Okay? So, that would be 18. 18 din po yan. No? Masusunod dyan yung pinakamalaki ang value. Okay, so approximately no by doing this no nakita natin na 21 weeks inabot yung project natin. Okay? So 29 weeks. So in this case no mako-configure na natin no if we're going to what would be the possible thing to do for us to see if yung papaano yung 29 weeks natin gugugulin no. Now so after doing this, now we will going to apply the backward pass. Okay? So yung backward pass is actually kabaliktaran, no, ni the opposite direction of the forward pass. So meaning to say we will going to read now from right to left in order for us to suffice no the requirement. Now by doing this, no, magsisimula tayo doon sa finish naman. Okay? So, the finish time is starting with 29 weeks, no? And then, 29, so as you can see, kung kanina nag-plus tayo, ngayon, magsa-subtract naman tayo. 29 minus 3, that will be 26. Okay? So, as you can see, kung titingnan natin, the earliest time to start for him is 26 weeks, and the earliest time to finish is 29 weeks. But the latest time for him to finish that one, for J to finish, will be 26 and 29. So, meron yan mamaya makikita natin yung tinatawag natin criticality. No? Criticality. Ayan. So, why do we have to do that? Kasi kailangan na muna natin makita yung criticality ng ano yan. Okay? Mamaya, explain ko po. Now, notice that activity has no backward pass predecessor. So, what we're going to do, no, i-apply na lang natin yung 29 sa kanya. Okay? So, doing that, no, katulad ng ginawa natin sa part forward pass po kanina, yung 26 ipapass na lang natin papabaliktad, no? Ayan. And then after that, no, 26 minus 5, that will be 21. And 26 minus 19, 26 minus 7 will be 19. Ayan. So, ayun po, no? And then, apply again the backward pass, no? Papunta yung data doon. So, ito kanina 25, papunta dyan. And then, no? Alright, now, in this particular concept, may conflict din. Kasi 25 and 21, hindi natin alam kung anong ilalagay natin dun sa 25 and 21. Now, in this concept, kapag may conflict na ganyan, in the backward pass, every method applied during the forward pass shall be reversed. In this case, we shall choose the least digit rather than the largest one. Okay, now, dun sa large, so yung po kanina, kinuha natin yung pinakamalaki, no? Ngayon, kukunin natin yung pinakamaliit. So, lahat ng method na ginawa natin doon sa forward pass, kung mapapansin nyo po, binaliktad natin. Kung left to right tayo kanina, magiging right to left. Kung kinukuha natin yung malaking digit, pagbalik, no, this digit na yung kukuhanin natin. Kung doon sa method kanina, nag-addition tayo, ngayon magsusubtract tayo. No? So, ayan po, no? Nagkaroon po tayo ng result ngayon. And then after that, again, conflict again. There will be 22 and 13. So, ang ilalagay natin ngayon dyan is pinakamaliit. Again, because this is actually a backward pass, kaya ang mangyayari dyan, that will be 13. Tapos dito naman sa 11 and 15, so ang magmamanifest po dyan ay yung tinatawag natin 11. So again, we shall choose the least digit rather than the largest one. So again, subtract natin, 13 minus 7 is 6, and 11 minus 7, that will be 4. So again, nag-conflict na naman siya. Conflict. 6 and 4, ang masusunod dyan is yung pinakamaliit. That will be 4. 4 minus 4 is equals to 0. Now, as you can see here, merong mga project na, hindi magkatulad nung latest time to finish at saka earliest time to finish. So, in order for us to get the difference of that, no, determine the slack period. We are about to determine the slack period. In getting the slack period, you may have an option whether you subtract the earliest starting time from the latest starting time or to subtract the earliest finishing time from the latest starting time. But in the industry's best practice, we will be getting the finishing time kasi yun yung pinakamalapit sa katotohanan. Okay? Rather than the starting time. Now, 4 minus 4, that will be 0. Okay? 11 minus 13, that will be 2. Okay? And so on and so forth. 11 minus 11, that will be 0, and all of this. Yan. So, kanina, nung nag-forward pass po tayo dito is, nakita natin, no, the schedule here is takes us 29 weeks. No? Yun yung parang pinaka conservative na po pwede nating i-commit doon sa client. No? But, nung nag-backward pass tayo, nakita natin yung slack time. Anong ibig sabihin ng slack time? So, when we are getting the slack time, that means we are getting the critical path. And we are getting who has the activity that has an allowance for that. So, in this case, no, the critical path, ibig sabihin, when we say critical path, no, ito yung mga projects or yung mga modules na hindi dapat na-delay. Okay? Ito yung magiging priority natin. So, ito yung critical, ito yung mission critical natin. Yes. Once na ma-delay po yan, uurong yung ating schedules. Now, there are some aspect, no, in terms of the management level, as you can see, yung A, as you can see, this one, letter A, no, meron siyang allowance na 3 weeks. Now, in some management, ang ginagawa nila dyan, if the people here is capable to do such task, no, from pinapahelp nila yan para ma-overcome nila yung risk doon sa ibang project, no? Kaya lang, because of this, na sometimes it involves, di ba? Why do I have to do that? Kasi hindi ko naman siya trabaho eh. Di ba? So, something like that, di ba? Now, sometimes, no, the budget is involved for that, no, and, ayan, um, yun yung ano natin, no, yan yung aspect natin. Again, this is actually a basic, no, basic lang yan. Kasi hindi pa to wala pa tayo dun sa point na, whether are we going to accept the project or not, di ba? So, kasi based on this, no, pwede pa natin siyang i-process. Pwede pa natin siyang i-process if titingnan lang natin yung possibility, how many percentage are we going to see na magiging possible yung project within this certain time. Okay? Ang tanong kasi dyan is, yung 29 ba, i-commit ba natin sa client? Diba? Or hindi pa? Are we going to extend it for another number? It could be 30 weeks or 31 weeks para mas okay. But if we're going to do that, no, we should have to realize, sabi nga natin, it is actually enterprise, no, scheduling is a holistic part, no. So meaning to say, if we're going to do that, always remember that the software that you are using right now, no, could be depreciating. So meron din tayong tinatawag na depreciating cost na makikita, no? So those are the considerations that we might take into, no? Now there might be a possibility na medyo natagalan din on the side of the client naman is medyo parang matagal sa akin yung 29 weeks. Can you make it 25 weeks or 27 weeks? Diba? So if that's the case, no, and the boss agrees to the client, wala tayong ibang choice kundi mag-adjust. So what are the adjustment that we're going to do? There is a method of this what we call crashing, no? So that's a different story about this what we call scheduling naman yun. Pero as I said, no, just for the sake of the discussion, no, I just presented to you, no, what for CPM and how does the project manager or the architects, no, are working on with the project. Now, going back again dun sa aking presentation, teka lang, iyan ako lang po. Stop sharing po ulit muna ako para just to give way naman dun sa isang ano po. Okay? So, in this case, no, alright, so in terms of tools, no, marami tayong tools na ginagamit, no, and all of these tools is actually one of these tools yung sinabi ni sir na worksheet, no, meron din yan. And but and all of these tools are integrated to there is a capability for this particular software to be integrated with another software, such as this what we call Microsoft Project. But the most basic na ginagamit is actually the Microsoft Project, no? If I'm not mistaken. Now, let me show you yung sample ng paano yung nag-work yung Microsoft Project. Kailan ba? Medyo nag-background kasi. And so here,
So previously, when we were using spreadsheets,
Teka lang po. So, share ko lang po sa inyo. Tab. Yan.
Hello there and welcome to this video. Let's discover all the tips and features you need to learn to start using Microsoft Project Professional 2016 quickly and easily. Leave us feedback in the video description to improve our following guides for Microsoft Office. Microsoft Project is used to organize tasks, duties, appointments, and also resources in the best and easiest way in both private and business environments. In this video, we will cover the very basic features to
What happened?
using Microsoft Project Professional 2016 quickly and easily. Leave us feedback in the video description to improve our following guides for Microsoft Office. Microsoft Project is used to organize tasks, duties, appointments, and also resources in the best and easiest way in both private and business environments. In this video, we will cover the very basic features to start. When you open Project, a welcome screen appears showing ready templates with different topics you can start from. Furthermore, on the left, you can directly open projects made in the past. In order to understand how to use Microsoft Project, let's start from a blank document by clicking on Blank Project. At this point, the General Workspace opens. This is divided in two main sides. On the left, you have a quick table that will contain the full list of the tasks to be done. And on the right, you have the Gantt chart, which is used to check the job spread over the timeline above, indicating 1 day per column. First, you have to define the task to be completed on the left. Under Task Name, give a name to your task and define when it starts under Start. And when it should finish under Finish. Once created, the new task appears on the Gantt chart as a colored rectangle. The length depicts the entire duration of the task. You can customize its appearance by double-clicking on it. Also, use the bar in the bottom right corner to modify the zoom on the Gantt chart. In case you make a mistake and you want to remove the task from the list, just right-click on it and go to Delete Task. You can extend or shorten the time duration of the task directly on the Gantt chart as well by clicking and dragging from its edges, or move the time period by clicking and dragging it. On the left, under Duration, you can see the total number of working days, D, required between the start and the finish date. By default, the working days are counted from Monday to Friday, with no holidays in between. You can set up the working days and the holidays by going to the Project tab on top and then to Change Working Time. Below, under Exceptions, add all holidays and non-working days you need. Apply these changes by pressing the OK button. Inside the Gantt chart, all non-working days and holidays are indicated by dark gray columns. Also, if you right-click on the taskbar and go to Split Task, you can split a task in multiple parts. This will have an impact on the start and the finish dates, but not on the duration time. The bars will become independent, changing lengths according to the working days under duration. If you hover on the far left side of the bar, you will be able to adjust the percentage of completion of the task indicated by a thin dark line on the bar itself. Notice that this follows the working days only. Besides the tasks list and the Gantt chart, you also have a timeline at the very top. This does not list all the tasks you have, but just the ones you prefer to show off. To add tasks to the timeline, just right-click on a task and go to Add to Timeline. To remove it, right-click on it from the timeline and go to Remove from Timeline. You can check all the information related to one task by double-clicking on it. In the Task Information panel, you can adjust percentage, priority, duration, and dates under General. You can add custom comments under Notes, and you can also specify the final deadline for each task under Advanced. This should be the date you must take into account, and this is indicated as a down green arrow on the Gantt chart. If you edit your task and you go over the deadline, Project will warn you under the information column on the left. In case you have tasks that are dependent, for example, when one can't start if another one is not finished yet, you can use the links. To create a link, you have to first select all the tasks that are dependent. Just hold Control down and select all the tasks in the correct order. Then just click on the selected tasks. In the Gantt chart, all links are indicated through arrows indicating the type of dependence. By default, you create Finish to Start links, which means that the following task must not start until the preceding one or predecessor is finished. These links are quite useful since Project will automatically organize your tasks in order to respect this dependence. On the left, the predecessors column indicates the row number the task is dependent on. If it is 3, that task is dependent on the third row task in the list. If you go to Predecessors on the Task Information panel, you can check all the links related to the task. Under Type, you can also change the kind of link. Choose Start to make it start when the predecessor starts. Choose Finish to make it finish when its predecessor finishes. Or choose Start to make the task finish when the predecessor starts.
My job is to make college easier because students have a lot on their mind.
Always check the Gantt chart for a quick representation. Consider that the start and finish dates of the tasks may change depending on the link chosen. You can still move and edit tasks as you like, but do respect the time dependence given from the links in order not to get any errors. In case you make any bad or conflicting entries, taskbars may have dashed contours. Inside Project, you have two kinds of tasks. So far, we have seen the manually scheduled tasks indicated by a pin symbol under the Task Mode column. You can also choose an auto-scheduled task indicated by a blue rectangular symbol. Separate from the other tasks, the auto-scheduled tasks may be fully edited and organized by Project according to the several fixed constraints such as workload, deadlines, and holidays. Indeed, the way to edit them is identical to the manually scheduled tasks. In the Task Information panel of the auto-scheduled task under Advanced, you can set the same option as seen, plus other new details such as constraint type, date, and task type that are specific for the auto-scheduled tasks. In case you have tasks that are not yet defined, you can simply add them in your task list and leave them off by going to Inactivate above. In this way, these won't interfere at all with the management of the other tasks. Besides tasks, you can also add and use summaries and milestones. You can find these under the Task tab in the Insert section. The summary is a collection of several tasks grouped together. Create a new summary, rename it, and set it manually or auto under Task Mode. With the summary open, add all the tasks that it must contain, or simply select existing ones from the far left, right-click and use Cut, and then paste to add these inside the summary. Close the summary to add new tasks outside of it. In the Gantt chart, the summary is a simple container, long enough to contain the earliest start and the latest finish date of all its tasks. Just in case the summary is defined as manually scheduled, you are able to modify its duration directly. Just include all the relevant tasks in the time, or it will show errors indicated by a red-colored bar. The milestones are used to fix a goal. Inside the Gantt chart, this is a single point with a label indicating its day and month. To save your project document, just go to File and then to Save As. Choose Browse to save inside your computer. Project documents are saved with a .mpp file format. You can also include multiple projects inside one, especially if you want to take care of multiple projects at the same time. If you go to the Project tab and then to Subproject, you can browse for your project file to import into the current one. This will show up as an auto-scheduled summary. This is a live link. If the imported projects are edited, you will see all the changes that are affected. Project Professional is also very useful to organize tasks inside a business team, composed by resources. These are people that are going to perform the different tasks listed inside the plan. In the bottom right-hand corner, click on Team Planner. This workspace lets you add the resources and assign the respective tasks. On top, under the Resource tab, click on Add Resources to add people. You can import from your own address book or add manually by using Work Resource. Then, double-click on the new row to define the resource name, email, group, telephone number, their availability under Resource Availability, and other options. If you go to Change Working Time, you can add non-working days and holidays to the specific resource. Click OK to apply all. Additionally, under Unassigned Tasks, you have all the tasks that must still be assigned to your team. You may drag and drop a task to the current resource row, matching the current time placement by observing the timeline above. In case you have a task split in several parts, you can assign it by moving the last part and even assign different parts to different resources. When you come back to the Gantt chart workspace, you will see the resource names assigned to each task. While assigning tasks, Project highlights bad entries through a thin red contour. For example, when a task starts on a non-working time, or when you assign too many tasks to a single resource, making it over-allocated. In case a resource is over-allocated, you have to distribute the daily working hours in the correct way. If you go to the Task Usage workspace, you can check day by day the total working hours per resource for each single task listed. By default, each resource can work a maximum 8 hours per working day in total. If you assign more than this amount, the resource will be overallocated, as the red icon on the far left suggests. In this case, you have to spread the working hours through different resources or tasks in order to reach the maximum 8 hours. You can change the hours by selecting the cell and typing inside. For complex projects, the auto-schedule tasks are managed automatically, depending on the constraints inserted. You can also assign a single task to multiple resources. Inside the Task Usage workspace, if you right-click on a task and go to Assign Resources, you can add other resources to work on a single task. Just select the resource to add and then go to Assign. This will make it easier to distribute the working hours on each task. Inside Project, you have the possibility to make quick reports on your project plan. If you go to the Report tab, you can create a new sheet through the New Report button. These reports are used to see and quantify the distribution of work to be done, the load of each single resource, and additional information through descriptions, charts, and tables that you can add and edit through all the design tools on top. All these reports are saved inside the Report workspace in the bottom right corner and listed under the Recent button on top. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to us for more amazing free videos for Microsoft Office.
Ayan. Ayan. Sir, narinig niyo na po ako? Ayan.
Yes, sir.
Ayan, sir. So, based from the presentation that I just said to you, no, so as you can see, no, Microsoft Project helps a lot, no. So software, no, really helps a lot for us to consume all of these activities that we will be doing this. As I said, no, as a summary, no, a project for this, and it is actually composed of the three elements, which is the time, the cost, and the resources, which is yung cost, scope, and time itself. No, so what this is, since that this is actually one of the deliverables, na time is very, so we have to plan it, carefully, in order for us to have a very manageable and manageable schedules for this. So that will be all, sir. Thank you so much, and have a nice day po. Salamat.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Okay, for your well comprehensive discussions about the topic, no. Again, your classmate a while ago asking about the difference between enterprise architecture manager and the project manager. So the difference between enterprise architecture and project management may seem insignificant, no, at first glance, but it plays a crucial role in helping business coordinate activities and ensure value is being produced through disparate business activities. If the organization is struggling to define these roles or leverage them for greater internal performance, it's time to seek out tools that can help make this alignment a reality. So again, as what our presenter mentioned earlier, no, there are some process deliverables used to make project happens, no. So I don't know if you could able to do a project business case during your undergraduate program, statement of work, governance plans, project schedule, project budgets, and project reviews. Honestly, enterprise architecture is more focused actually when it comes to that technology, no, technology applications, no, work hand in hand with the project manager actually. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Thank you, and magandang hapon sa lahat.